Oh, okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Stephen Woolfolk. I'm the Director of Programming at the Kansas City Public Library, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight to welcome you to the Central Library for a program that I hope is the first of many with what's turned out to be a really terrific partner. Founded by two of our guests tonight, Darryl Burton and Lamonte McIntyre, Miracle of Innocence aims to help free the innocent and provide care for them when they come home. I have the privilege tonight of introducing the Director of Miracle of Innocence, Susie Rawling, to tell you a little bit more about the organization and to introduce our speakers this evening. Her work includes planning and executing advocacy campaigns, legal and policy analysis, and coalition building. Her efforts aim to mobilize support for initiatives to prevent wrongful convictions and improve systemic practices in our criminal justice system. She's also probably more responsible than anyone else for making this program happen tonight. These discussions started way back in April of this year, and Susie stayed on top of things from the start to finish. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, Susie. So please, if you will, join me in welcoming to the Central Library, Miss Susie Rawling.
Thank you, Steve. People don't usually appreciate when I harass them, but I'm glad that that worked for us. Good, thank you, thank you. Darryl Burton is in traffic, but he is en route, so we will go ahead and get started. But just a little bit, I wanted to recognize Faye Jacobs, who's also in the audience. She's an exoneree out of Arkansas, and very active in our community. And she also has a transportation business if you ever have any transportation needs. We have Judy, Patty, and Lamonte, and Darryl will be here soon. So Miracle of Innocence, we are an innocence organization that works with the wrongfully convicted. So we have a legal team that works with folks on the inside and gathers information and hires legal staff to assist in exoneration. We also have an advocacy effort that Steve spoke about. We work with the clients once they come home on reentry into society. We'll talk a little bit about Lamonte. Author and activist Lamonte McIntyre spent 23 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. Since his exoneration, he's become a nationwide voice for reform and the co-founder of Miracle of Innocence. Just real quick. He's got quite a social media following and a fabulous smile. Author and activist Darryl Burton, who will be here soon, survived 24 years of wrongful imprisonment and now travels the country sharing the message of hope, faith, and change. He too is a co-founder of Miracle of Innocence. Darryl. Author and activist Patty Prewitt, wrongfully convicted in Missouri, has spent 38 years fighting not only for her own freedom, but for the dignity and rights of incarcerated women across the state. I've not met anyone with more energy than Patty. She's a quite wonderful person. And our wonderful moderator, Judith Sabbert, author of Daring to Dance Again, brings her own profound story of healing, rediscovery, and resilience. She is a steadfast ally to Patty, Darryl, and Lamonte. She's the perfect guide for tonight's discussion. Oh, and here he comes. So we'll give him a warm welcome. Okay, he's going to get mic'd up real quick, and then we're ready. So, join me in welcoming this extraordinary panel as they share their journeys, their books, and broader lessons that confront injustice in our society. And a quick plug: so all four of them are authors. All four of them have their books here for sale. Christmas is in 21 days, if that's something you celebrate. They're great. I am doing my Christmas shopping here tonight with these wonderful people. So, and they're all here to sign. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Doc.
Susie.
All right, I think we're getting Darryl all hooked up, and he'll be joining us here in just a few minutes. First of all, I want to say I am really honored and humbled to be here tonight with three people that I consider remarkable. I really do. And tonight, you're really going to get a chance to catch a glimpse of their stories. These are people that I think about who have great resilience. They have found the strength to find their faith and a connection to God. And they're folks that just never gave up hope. And I think you're going to be very inspired by what little you're going to be able to hear. But I guarantee you're going to want to read their books because they have absolutely incredible, heartfelt stories. And it's a very important message to get out. So we appreciate the fact that you're all here, and we'll become allies also for the Miracles of Innocence project. But I want to get to the questions because we have little time. There's my dear friend Darryl. Hi, Darryl. Good to see you, dear.
You too.
I have a number of questions I want to get to, and with our time, I want to try and stay focused on that. So I want to ask the three of them individually if they can each briefly share what you were accused of and how many years you spent incarcerated. And Darryl, can we start with you?
Well, yes, sorry I'm late. And, let me just say that the traffic and rush hour is something I'm still getting used to after being away for so long. But, well, Judith, thank you for having me. Thank all of you for having us. And so, and Susie, you know, she is our leader and help us with a lot of this. But I was in prison as an innocent man for almost 25 years. And so, hey, Kathleen,
Yeah.
I see some familiar faces. I can't help that. I see faces that I haven't seen in a while and people I love. But wrongfully convicted and sent to prison for the crime of capital murder in Missouri State Penitentiary in Jefferson City, Missouri. I stayed there. I went in at 22. I came out at 47. So, you know, let's go figure. That's how long I was there for a murder that happened, for the guy who committed the murder, who was described as a short, medium to light-skinned guy. Everybody laughs. So you see, if you dim the lights real low, you know I'm going to disappear up in there, right? It's a dark brother. He's not light-skinned, but you know that's just kind of quick, you know, synopsis of what happened to me. And 2 men lied on me. I was in another state. I had a lawyer I saw one time, public defender, for 1 hour, and didn't get my airline tickets to show that I was in the state of Washington. The crime was committed in St. Louis, Missouri. Just didn't do anything for me. Didn't get my alibi. And so that's what happened when the system and lawyers don't do their job. Yeah.
Darryl, I have another question for you. What was the moment that you realized the justice system had failed you?
When they arrested me.
Yeah.
Day one. You got the wrong man. I knew I was innocent because, you know, when they arrested me, and particularly when they said they was arresting me for capital murder, for murder, period, you know, and particularly the gentleman who was killed was a person who was my oldest brother's best friend. He has I didn't learn this until later, but he has a son with my first cousin. And none of this was investigated and talked about. They said no motive. And there's no motive because we're friends. You know, we had no conflict. He had a conflict with another group. Rival gangs was feuding over drug turf. And the gentleman who fit the description not only killed him, shot and killed him, but he had shot him 3 other times, 3 separate occasions. He had shot the same guy. And the prosecutor and the judge and the defense attorney, public defender, agreed not to let the jury hear that. So they kept a lot of things out from the jury, as well as the lady told him at the trial, you got the wrong man. He was too dark. It's a short, light-skinned guy. And they kept that out from the jury as well. So, but yeah, you know when you're innocent, you know from day one, you know, and they realized many years later that I was innocent. I knew from the very beginning. We knew from the very beginning, you know, me, Lamonte, and Patty, so.
All right, thank you, Darryl.
I'm gonna try to stay brief because I know you got a lot of questions.
I do, I have a lot. Okay, Lamont, would you like to take the question? Can you briefly describe and share what you were accused of and how many years you spent incarcerated?
Well, I was accused of murder 2 times. 1994, when I was 17. I went in when I was 17. I came home when I was 41, which is 8 years ago, so I'm close to 50 now. And it was all orchestrated by a dirty cop named Roger Galewski in my case. So I had a dirty cop, a district attorney that was dirty, and they just really set me down the road. They just pinned 2 murders on me. His motive was because he had sexually assaulted my mother, the cop, and she fought back and filed charges and stuff like that. So he retaliated by putting me in a photo lineup of 2 murders that I never committed. And I went to prison, 23 years for that.
And what was the moment you realized the justice system had failed you?
Well, believe it or not, up until my trial, I thought, they'll see that they made a mistake, and I know it'll iron itself out because there's no way they can find an innocent person guilty of murder. So I wasn't at the scene of the crime. I had no connections to the victims or the witnesses, so I had no fear about winning trial. I found out when I got found guilty, because I didn't think I was gonna get found guilty, and it just took all the wind out of me. So that's when I found out the justice system is not what I thought it was or what it's cracked up to be. And a lot of people are unaware of that too, by the way. We see things on TV and we see that how it's supposed to work, so we think people are taking it the same way, and it's not ever that way. And I found out when I got found guilty that it wasn't the same as I thought it was. Yeah.
Thank you. Patty, can you tell us what you were accused of and how many years you spent incarcerated?
In 1984, February of 1984, my husband was murdered and I was attacked. And I had no idea, it didn't make any sense to me at all that they were looking only at me and ignoring. They didn't take fingerprints. But I didn't go to prison until I was 36. And I just came out last year when I was 75. I served 38 and a half years for a murder I didn't commit. And my family, my friends, everyone worked all these years. My sister, who's passed on, stood out in front of grocery stores with a clipboard. This is before the internet, to get signatures on petitions. That's how far back we go. And no one talked about wrongful convictions. I recently spoke at KU to a wrongful convictions class, and I was like, they actually have classes on it now, which is wonderful, because in the 80s, nobody put those 2 words together. So I think I answered the questions. I served 38 and a half years, so, and just got out. The 20th will be my 1-year anniversary, guys.
And Patty, when did you realize that the justice system had failed you?
I was being interrogated by this cop, and he said, I want to take a nitrate test for a gunpowder residue. And I was like, oh, why would you do that? Mm-hmm. And we did it, and then they ignored it. But that was my first clue. I was like, I thought you were trying to find out from me what happened. No, that wasn't what was happening at all. That was my first clue. But even then, I had hope. I went to trial, thought surely they will see that. No, because if you're sitting there and the jury looks at you and you've been arrested for it, they pretty much think you're guilty. So, but that was my first clue.
I'd like to go on to the next question. And Lamont, why don't we start with you this time? So much the public assumes that the system gets it right. But what's something you wish every American understood about wrongful convictions?
That the police is not always right. district attorneys and police is not ever held accountable for like wrongful convictions, for being responsible for wrongful convictions. So I want everybody to be aware of that immunity they get and why they can keep getting away with something like this. It's been way too many people has been found guilty wrongfully by the hands of people who just care about the wrong thing. They either care about their stats or conviction rates or a personal vendetta or whatever the case may be, but they're not actually getting the people that's responsible. The person in my case that actually did the murders, he went on to kill somebody else. So they didn't really care about the person that was responsible or protecting me from society that I'm a part of. So I want everybody to be aware and know that detectives get it wrong, the district attorneys get it wrong sometimes, prosecutors, they're not always up and up. So everybody should be, when you, jury, you might be serving a jury sometimes, so somebody served on my jury, all of our jurors have been found us guilty because of the evidence that the prosecutor presented, but it was all bogus and made up and fabricated. So I want people to be aware of that the justice system is not all the way flawed, but it's flawed enough where you're seeing way too many wrongful convictions happening.
Okay. And Darryl, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, in conjunction with what Lamonte is saying, but as it relates to what the public is not aware of, is that it's not about the truth. You think it's about the truth. It's not about the truth. It's not about facts. It's not about right or wrong. It's not about evidence. It's about convictions, pure and simple. Because anyone who get arrested, and every one of you been accused of something you didn't do, but it's like, and you know how that make you feel, but being put in a box for decades, 3-4 decades, that's just, it's totally unacceptable. What I say to groups is that, you know, I can get a bullseye 100% of the time with a bow and arrow. You don't believe that, do you? I can. It seems impossible, right? Well, here's what I do. I take the bow and arrow and I stick it in the tree, then I draw the circle around it, and I get a bullseye every time. That's what they do with these cases of wrongful conviction. They get a subject or a suspect, person of interest, and they build a case around that individual. They get a conviction every time.
Well stated.
Also, people don't realize right this minute there are all kinds of people wrongfully convicted in prison, and maybe they're doing a 5-year bid, and nobody will ever know. They'll do their time and leave. It happens all the time. I left women there that are not guilty, but they're not going to get any help because it's only a small fraction get any help. If you got to have people to holler, you got to get lawyers to holler. But the wrongful convictions happen all the time, all the time.
So Patty, during your incarceration, what kept you holding on to hope?
I left 5 kids when I went to prison, ages 8 through 16. Close family, very close family. And I was blessed as could be that my parents took them in. And my parents were empty nesters and happy about it. And they took them all in and raised them up. But how could I not do what I'm supposed to do when I've got my children, my oldest daughter sitting back there? My children were depending on me. My parents were depending on me to do the best. So I did the best I could in prison. I took every class I could take. I wanted to show my kids that whatever happens, you do the best you can with what you got. And all my children, I lost one of them along the way, but my 4 grown children are all now middle-aged people, and they're good, successful people. And how could I drop the ball? I still feel the same way. Everything I do for those kids. And my grandkids, got a whole passel of grandkids and great-grandkids. And those of us, you know, if you've got kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, you want to do your best for them. That's what I always did.
And I know from reading your book that you really did. I mean, being a mother was so important to you, and the way you kept in contact. It was just very obvious at the importance of that role in your life.
But I was blessed with people who brought my kids to see me. Not everybody has that. Not everybody has the money to write their kids. Stamps are expensive. And not everybody can call their kids. Calls used to be really, really expensive. I was blessed, but I was in prison with so many people who lost their children entirely because they couldn't, nobody did what my family did. So, that's a loud phone.
And they didn't exist when we went in, you know?
It's still amazing to me.
It is.
That's funny.
Darryl, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yes, I would like to add that my child, I was a father. I was a new dad. My girl had a little daughter who was 7 months, and I saw my little girl 3 times. I held her in my arms. She was just crawling. And I left and went away to prison, and the next time I saw her, she was 25 or 26 years old. Her mother, however, her mother was living, lost parental rights, and my daughter ended up in the foster care system. So we were both in institutions at the same time. No fault to either one of us, but to this day, my daughter, she lives not far from here in Overland Park, 20 minutes away from me, and don't want to have anything to do with me or her mom. She said she went in the foster care system at 10, 11, 12 years old. She's been living by herself, without her parents, I should say, and she just want to keep it that way. She's only been to Father's Day twice since I've been home, and this was a year she came to Father's Day, and I think she came to say, this is the last time you're going to hear from me, Dad, and I haven't heard from her. Just had a birthday, at Christmas is coming up, at Thanksgiving, haven't heard from her. I just give it to God, you know, so yeah, you was blessed to have
Yes.
that relationship with Jane and your children. So, and that was the thing that kept me holding on. When you asked the question, what kept me holding on? I said, I got to live long enough to see my little girl again. Yeah. And I told her, I said, some days I was ready to give up. I thought of you, and it gave me that extra drive and that push to fight this case, to get back to her. And now she don't want to have anything to do with me. That's you know, it's hard, but what can I say?
And that's heartbreaking, Darryl. It really is.
Biggest regret.
Lamont, can you tell us what was the biggest obstacle when you were trying to prove your innocence?
Get somebody to believe you. Everybody in prison is innocent. I know everybody heard that. Nobody takes responsibility for the things they do. So when you get to prison, everybody's like, I shouldn't be here. So when you get there as an innocent person, nobody want to hear that. They've been hearing that from every inmate person to come in there. So I think it was just getting somebody to believe in me. And, I mean, that's hard. Mm-hmm. That's a hard thing to do. Because they look at it like, well, you was found guilty by a jury of your peers. You had to do something to be here. So it's hard to get somebody to actually believe that you're 100% innocent of a crime you're in prison for. It's just something that people don't believe. It's hard to believe. So that was the hardest thing. Yeah.
And Darryl, for you, what was the biggest obstacle?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the obstacles, but also just trying to find the right lawyer who I didn't like, didn't trust lawyers, hated them. Anybody that had something to do with the criminal justice system, I hated them, anywhere in the world. But trying to, you know, convince the courts that I was innocent. I said to the judge at the sentencing hearing, I just lost it. I blast the judge, the courts, everybody. I said, you, this, you know, the prosecutor, police, defense attorney, all of you framing me. You were part of this, Your Honor, and he blasted me back. But I said, I'm gonna fight this case till I prove that I'm innocent, because you all are wrong. I'm innocent. I don't care what you say. I'm gonna fight this case. And the courts, one denial after another, just denied. I started working on my case, filing motions and pleadings and briefs with the courts, took a course in paralegal computers and the law before they took the college courses out of the prison. And I just kept on fighting and wrote a lot of letters to organizations from the United States to Canada to Europe, presidents, governors, Oprah Winfrey. I wrote the big O. And he got in touch with me twice since I've been home, and I'm like, you're a day late and a dollar short, but I love you. Don't tell Oprah I said that. She got a book club. I might end up in a book club. But yeah, that's, you know, when the courts keep denying, and I'll just say this here briefly, and I'll, you know, pass it on, is that in 2002, July the 8th, the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, it's a legal document, wrote opinion and they said that they believe, and I'm paraphrasing, that the state of Missouri, through the evidence that has been unearthed, convicted an innocent man in Darryl Burton's case. But due to impediments erected by courts and by Congress, they said they would not be able to go into the merits of my claims of innocence. With no small degree of reluctance, we're going to deny Darryl Burton's writ, even though the facts suggest that he may very well be innocent. That opinion crushed me, July 2002. And in another paragraph, they say, we hope that state of Missouri, through the judicial or the executive branch, take a second look at this case. Thus, the title of my book, Innocent, A Second Look. That's where that title came from. A second look. I said, well, you got the first look. Why don't you do the right thing? And I almost gave up because of that opinion. And there was a letter from a young lady who had been writing me, who was the same age as my daughter, and she, through Centaur Ministries, got my name, and she started corresponding with me. And the day that I was really thinking about cashing out of earth, I got a letter from that little girl who said, Darryl, I'm praying for you. Don't give up. Just hang in there. Hold on. And I bawled like a baby because I knew in my mind I didn't want to live anymore. So yeah, it's hard when the courts just keep telling you, we don't believe that you're innocent and we're not going to help you. Or we believe that you're innocent and we're still not going to help you. And then when I come home and I ask for help from these reentry programs, you know what they told me? We can't help you because you're innocent. We only help guilty people. We don't help innocent people. You need to start an organization to help innocent people. Thus, Miracle of Innocence was born. Me and Lamont. So, yeah, strange system we have.
Well, thank goodness all of you continue to fight. And Patty, do you want to share what your biggest obstacle was?
Every damn thing. Every governor since Ashcroft denied clemency for me. Every court denied. Every time we tried to get something, all three branches of the government, legislative, we tried to put in laws to try to help. Executive branch, judicial branch, they wouldn't test the DNA. I mean, you keep just butting your head against the wall, and this young law student, little Irish Catholic kid from Chicago at Georgetown University, was put on my case as a law student. We're still friends. I mean, that was in 2010. And he did everything. He worked hard. He got his law degree, met a nice girl, got married, had 2 kids. I'm still in. And when I walked out of prison on the 20th and we called him, he said, it only took 14 years, and he said it's his biggest accomplishment because it is, getting somebody out is the hardest thing ever. The hardest thing ever, because my sentence was life with no parole for 50 years. And it was on the books from 78 to 84. And there's a bunch of people, men and women, still in, that were put in those years. And the only reason I know that is because I researched it. You guys probably didn't know that because it's not your life. Darryl, Lamont, and I, we were in the law library because that was our life. And we checked out everything possible. And you try everything possible. And you lay down in your prison bunk at night and you think, what haven't I done? What could I possibly do that's different? We've tried this, didn't work. Let's try this. You just constantly do this. I know I call them the boys because they're ages of my kids. I mean, the boys did the same thing. You lay down at night and you think, okay, what haven't I done? What could possibly change something? And you just work. And sometimes some of us win, some of us lose. We just happen to be what I consider winners because we're talking to you guys here, and wearing real clothes and nice underwear.
Lamont, I'm going to go on to the next question. And how did wrongful conviction affect your relationships with your family, friends, and your community?
Well, I was close to my family, so I went in when I was 17 and all this stuff happened. I was close to my family. I got 4 other siblings. I was there for so many years that life moved on. Like everybody started families, and all my siblings got kids except me. Everybody started their own life. And when I was younger, I was hurt because I expected people to be there. You know, it's another thing people don't know about wrongful convictions. You don't really have a lot of support. For the people who do got support, you got fortunate people. I had a mother that wouldn't let me give up. You know, she showed up even when I don't want her to. You know, I was feeling down for myself, and I was telling her, "Don't come to see me. I don't want you giving your life to me." And I can't do nothing about what's going on. I was just down in the dumps, and she would never stop. So, besides my mother, I'm estranged from my family. I tried to have a Christmas with them the first year I got out. Felt awkward. It just made me uncomfortable because I grew up without anybody. So it's kind of. And I was married. I got out and I got married. That didn't last long. Yeah, and now it's gonna sound strange, but it's true. Like, I don't like being alone, but I like being by myself. I just do. I don't know why. It's like, so trying to be with other people, it affects every part of my relationships, my romantic relationships, my family relationships. That dynamic is just, it's still in a gray area right now with it. I don't want it that way. I mean, I love my family. I don't blame nobody for what happened to me. It's like, I didn't get out, like, being angry at my family for not supporting me or being there. I was just hurt that I had to do it by myself. Right. And when you get out of the situation, you see all the people you used to know that I didn't see my family since I was 17. So when I got around them at 41, it just felt like these are strangers to me. I had no memories with them growing up or nothing like that. So I'm by myself now. I'm not really close to my family like I want to be, but yeah, it makes it hard, really. Yeah.
That would be hard.
Right.
And Darryl, do you want to talk about how it affected your relationships with family, friends, and your community? We know it did severely with your daughter.
Yes, and with family also, similar situation with Lamont. It's like, I don't know, for whatever reason, it seemed like my family think I was just on a long extended vacation, and I come back home and everything is like it was, back to normal. They don't realize the trauma and how that place really, affected us and tried to demoralize us. And, we sit here now and you wouldn't know we had been wrongfully convicted if you walk past us on the streets. It's not like a neon sign flashing off our foreheads saying innocent, innocent. And I think our families, except maybe with Patty, at least my family, they expect me to, like I was when I was here, I was a provider for my family. I had a big family, 7 boys and 2 girls, and my grandmother had 9, so I had a bunch of cousins, big family. And I used to try to provide for my family and help my family at 22 years old. Anybody in the community. I enrolled in college for business administration and sociology, so I had this social conscious awareness about wanting to help the community. But yeah, going around the family now, and a lot of them right now, they don't really associate with me because I left St. Louis immediately the next day, and I came to Kansas City, and 2 of my mentors are right here. It was Susie and Kathleen Kennedy. They were my mentors when I got out. They were helping me, and of all the organizations and the people who was trying to help somebody, it was these 2 young ladies and others. But, I love my family. My mother just turned 90 years old last month. I went down and saw her and spent time with her. But it's uncomfortable in the sense that I feel like I make them uncomfortable. And some of them even said, and I heard just recently, said, man, Darryl got all that money from being compensated and he's just not sharing it with the family. And I just heard this last week. He got so much compensation. He's a millionaire, and he is not sharing anything with the family. This was just said last week. I just heard this. And I said, I'll be darned. The state didn't compensate me anything. They gave me nothing. It's just recently passed a law. And maybe they heard that about that, and now they're thinking that and I haven't collected anything on that yet. But so they think I'm not sharing with the family as I used to. I used to share. I would give all that stuff away. Money has never been my God. I would give it away, and they know that. But you can't give away something you don't have.
Right.
And so my family is upset with me about that. He's not providing for the family, and he has all that wealth. Because they see me, I get a new car, I have a new car. They don't know I had an accident, and the insurance compensated me for that, and I got the new car. They don't know all the particulars. They just assume, oh, he got new cars, he bought a house, and yeah. And I'm blessed by God, I really do. I was not a believer in God, but that's what I believe, that God blessed me, and we miracles. We're not, fortunate. There's nothing unique or special about me or any one of us. We just miracles. We happen to have, as Sean O'Brien said, that all the planets and stars lined up, and we got released. But there are some people right now, we're working on their cases. God willing, everything line up, and they're going to get released, and they'll be sitting on this panel one day, because we're working to help free some other innocent people.
Right.
Patty, do you have anything you want to add regarding your relationships and how that might have changed?
Like I said, I'm so blessed. My brother and my sister passed on while I was in prison, so I'm mother to all my nieces and nephews too. I saw Betsy in an Aldi after I got out of prison, and she just started crying. I mean, my family has gone through this with me. It's a trauma for the entire family. And my grandson, I went skydiving after I got out of prison. It was on my bucket list. And I was in the air, and he calls Jane, and he's like, I am having some kind of nervous attack about Granny in the air. And Jane goes, well, as soon as she hits the ground, I'll call you. And he's like, no. But the kids all had the trauma from all that, all these years. So, and they don't trust policemen, they don't trust courts. I mean, it's been bad. One of my daughters was called for jury duty and had like some kind of come apart in front of the judge, and he let her go because she got hives and everything just being in the courtroom. So it affects everybody.
Since we're talking about how it affects relationships, I'm also interested in knowing from all of you, how do the effects of wrongful convictions show up in your life today? Darryl, would you like to start with that one?
Yeah, repeat it for me, you said.
How do the effects of wrongful conviction show up in your life today?
How does it show up in my life today? If I understand your question, someone who's, when they sentenced me to life without parole for 50 years, as they did with Patty, and 25 years consecutive, I never accepted it. I never, accepted it at all. And so I told the judge I'm gonna fight the case, prove I'm innocent. I was trying to get out of prison by any means possible. So I was talking to guys in the law library and reading case law, but I was also looking for a way to escape. When I talked to guys on the yard, there were only two conversations I was interested in. Any case law man that can help me get back in court, or if you plan an escape, don't leave without me. I'm going, seriously, true story.
Yeah, you look at the fence all the time, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Fence, well, we had walls where I was at, the
Yeah.
wall. And I was thinking about how, but we working to help innocent people get out. And I don't like injustice, I can say that what happened to George Floyd, these are triggers for me. When I see something like that, the police do something like that, and we know every cop don't do these things. I had a panel discussion with some cops this morning throughout the week. But just one can do something like that, and I'm affected by that because in my mind, I'm saying that's me, who's got this cop's knee on my neck and suffocate me. And then he cried for his mother, and that choked me up. So wrongful conviction, that's wrong. Anytime, and like I said, and all of you, when you see something that's wrong, what are you gonna do about it? What are we gonna do about it? We know there are innocent people in prison. What are we going to do about it as a society? Volunteers came and helped us, and an organization put up $350,000 to help get me out. 350 grand. Do you think I'm worth that? Well, I think I'm worth that much, you know, but I think others are as well. Because as I asked Jim McCluskey, you guys spent that amount of money on me? He said, Darryl, you can't put a price on a human life, especially when you're innocent. You know, and so that's what this life sentence means to me. Life sentence to the system of justice, to make corrections where we can and pray for those in ways in which we can't. But yes, this is the wrongful conviction, embodiment of wrongful conviction as I sit here.
So Lamonte, Patty, do you have anything you want to add on how those effects show up in your life today?
Well, I've seen so much negativity and I experienced so much hurt and being sick from stress, and it made me want to be different and opposite of that. So I live my life in a peaceful state. I've been a plant-based eater for 6 years. I focused on the things I want to do in my life. I used to chase time. I thought I didn't have enough of it left. So the first 3 or 4 years, I was kind of like in a bad space. I've been out 8 years, but for the first 3 or 4, I was all over the place trying to catch up with time that I've lost. So it put me in the wrong kind of state of mind. But for the last 6 years, I've been just staying in the moment, enjoying every bit of my life, like really just enjoying it. Like a lot of us don't wake up and really get cemented into where we are. We kind of think about tomorrow or yesterday too much. And I did that before for a long time. And that experience taught me how to process my emotions. It taught me how to deal with stress, taught me how to deal with patience.
That loud phone again.
Yeah, there you go. My life now means a lot to me. Time means a lot to me. Being here, this is something I wanted to do, so it means a lot to me being in life, doing the things I like to do and love to do. So I took that experience and I made it something that I can enjoy for the rest of my life, and that's just being in the moment.
Very good.
Yeah.
Patty, I'm going to go to a different question for you. What gives you hope today?
That this administration will be over in 3 years. I can't believe I got out in the middle of this. Lord. But listen, I think people are listening about wrongful convictions. I think they're listening about, I'm getting my bachelor's this month. And I wrote one paper on prison nurseries, which you may not know much about it, but just ask me and I'll tell you all more than you want to know. And the other paper was on women in prison the last 60 years, because people need to know what's happening, because then we can stop it. And mothers shouldn't go to prison. People shouldn't have their babies in prison and have them taken away from them immediately. There's so many wrongs that I know I'm old, but I got a few good years left, and I think I can right these wrongs. Yeah.
We have just about, well, it's about time for us to open it up for questions from the audience. Unless there's something you want to quickly say about what gives you hope today, just very quickly.
Well, you all give me hope. In fact, I say one of those God winks, because last night I had a conversation with 2 ladies, and the conversation was about hope. And I just said to both of them, you know, I learned in my experience that an acronym for the word hope is hold on, pain ends. And I had to use that acronym many, many, many nights and many years.
Very
Hope.
good.
Yeah, and
Thank
I
you.
talk about hope and forgiveness around the world. That's my message.
Lamont?
Being peaceful. I want everybody to be peaceful. I want everybody to know that peace, happiness, joy, sadness, depression is all just states of mind. And I learned that after surviving so much. So now I want everybody to stay at peace. That's like a choice, like happiness. So choose peace over war and love over hate. All right?
Very good. Well, now I'd like to open it up to your questions. And if you wouldn't mind coming to the mic if you have a question, and if you need assistance, let us know and we'll provide assistance.
Hi, my question's for you, Darryl. Did you see the judge after you got released? Have you ever had the opportunity to address with him that you did get out free?
The judge who sentenced me, I didn't get a chance to see him, and many of those folks had passed away. And my anger, I hated all of those people, but then logically I had to start thinking, man, I'm just hating the dirt, because those people are in the graveyard, and I have to try to learn forgiveness, which wasn't for them, it was for me. But I did see one of the judges who wrote that opinion that said that they believe I was innocent, but they couldn't release me, up in South Dakota. Gave a presentation up there, and he's what's called in the 8th Circuit, and so there's about 8 states or whatever, and what they call, you know, in the United States they have these circuit courts that represent so many states like regions. And he walked in a restaurant, I had given a presentation, and long story short, a bunch of lawyers up there I spoke to, and he came to the restaurant, we was having lunch, and one of the lawyers who knew him said, Darryl, that's one of the judges that was said on, it was 3-judge panel, that said in your opinion, man, you want to meet him? Yes, right now, let's meet. They said, you know, let him eat lunch, and they did, and then when we met him and introduced myself, the lawyers did, and he said, well, you know, yes, I don't know if I remember that case exactly, I want to go back and take a look at it. And then he called the lawyer back and said, yeah, I remember that case. You know, it was 3 judges. And, you know, I think I'm the one who said we need to give this guy a new trial. You know, of course he said that. Then and he said, but it looked like the system worked. He's out now. It worked. The system worked. After 25 years, it worked. Yeah, go figure.
Lamonte and Darryl, I learned about you through KCUR, Steve Kraski's show, and I would listen and sit in my bedroom and just listen to the show when anything was on, when you were on the show, when talking about the cases. And I wasn't quite sure why. I mean, I knew it was compelling, but I felt like there was something that really hit me. I'm not very good at putting my emotions, I hope I don't cry on this, but my emotions together with what is current and I'm listening to. I sort of compartmentalize things. But when I was young, my parents adopted a young boy whose mother was schizophrenic and she drank while she was pregnant. And they didn't know that, but they adopted him, and I'm, to this day, his guardian. He lives in Massachusetts. And at one point, he was starting to become schizophrenic in his late 20s, but it wasn't recognizable to our family because we didn't know about mental illness. He lives in Massachusetts, and I'm here. My parents died, and I was his guardian. And he was volunteering at an organization, and he was getting sicker and sicker, and one day he threw a cup of coffee at one of the gentlemen, and they brought him to court for it. They said it was an assault. Well, what ended up happening was no one knew what quite, he had to be proven that he was mentally capable of knowing what he was doing. And before anyone knew that, he was in Bridgewater State Prison. And I knew nothing about this sort of thing. And I didn't know how ill he was, but I would go and visit him. And I'd never been to a jail. And it is so much work to get into a jail. And it was in a place that there were no buses. And so if people wanted to visit, a lot of people from the New Bedford area would come. They had to ask someone to drive them so they could see their children or their relatives. He was there for 5 years for throwing a cup of coffee. I couldn't get him out, and I didn't know what to do. And so I decided I needed to know the questions to ask. And they had a series that at the first Tuesday of the month, you could go and ask the commissioner of the jail. questions. And I decided I'd fly out on those Tuesdays 4 times a year to find out what was the question I was going to ask. Because I didn't know any. What is it that you're going through? What is it that, how that works? What's that system? I knew nothing about it. But I would learn from the other family members who would ask questions, and I'd think, I need to follow that up. Because I didn't quite understand. Finally, he was released by a strange fluke where I was trying to get some music to him for his 40th birthday. And I called someone at the prison who did arts and crafts with him. And I said, could I sneak this in? Well, they recorded the phone call. So Sneak then went to the commissioner, and they had just had a problem at Walpole's jail where someone had gotten another prisoner out. I got this letter from the commissioner who said, you know, you do things like this and you endanger my people here. I just wanted to get him a CD. And so I sat down and wrote a long letter and said, I just want my brother out. You've met me. This is what's happening. Psychiatrists call me and tell me he needs antipsychotic drugs. What can we do? And 3 weeks later, he was out. But I'll tell you, yeah. Well, you know, I did something naively, and my naivety got it out. But I also followed back with apologizing, but at the same time saying, this is ridiculous. Your people are telling me he shouldn't be there. Can't you help me? And it happened. And I think that experience, which I sort of still live with, when I heard about the two of you, there was something inside me that says, I somehow know something about this. And so when I heard you were speaking tonight and everyone was here, I have to tell you, it was really important for me to come. But in the end, I guess my question is, it's really hard for people that aren't in the system to know what the questions are. We don't know what to ask, what to say or to do or to know that this is wrong. And who would you ask?
Well, let me chime in if you don't mind. You can ask Miracle of Innocence. You can ask us. You can ask people who've been through it, who lived through it. You know, we are here. We're a resource because I had never experienced nothing like this here before. I thought when it happened to me, I was the only person in the universe this had ever happened to in 1984. But it happens way too often. And you know, when I became a guy who read the Bible, I learned that that guy named Jesus was innocent too, 2,025 years ago. I didn't know his story because I was not a religious guy. But it was a Senate hearing and they convicted him and sentenced him to death and killed him. That is a true story, according to Flavius Josephus, historian. So, I mean, we are the people that you can ask. You probably got more insights now because, you know, you've lived through that experience. But there are many of you who also want to ask some questions. Thank you, but thank you for sharing. I'm sorry for what your brother went through.
Everything's okay now.
Good.
Glad to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Darryl, I have a question.
What's up, Dennis?
After reading your books, all 3, and listening to your testimonies, I've been so touched with your attitude of gratitude, of how you've managed it and worked through your pain and anger and hurt, and now you're giving people hope, and that has really touched me. My question is how long have you and Lamont had the Miracle of Innocence program going, and have you had any success helping others?
That's a great question.
It is, you know.
That's a really good question.
Good to see you, yeah. Dennis and Judy. Absolutely.
It's a funny story how all this came about, like Miracle of Innocence. So I got out 8 years ago. Darryl was out before I was. So after my case was over with and I came out the courthouse, I was met by Darryl, and I had just met him. And he was meant to come in. He was supposed to come in and do a speech in the prison I was in, because I was in Kansas. He was in Missouri State Prison. And the day he came in, somebody on the yard got killed. So I was supposed to meet him that night, but I didn't get a chance to meet him, so I had never met him in person when I got out. like 8-9 months after that incident, I had got out. He was there, and he met me, and he hugged me, and he whispered in my ear, like, we got to do something about these innocent people. We got to get people out of prison. So Miracle of Innocence was formed in 2017, and we exonerated. We got a guy named Keith Carnes exonerated completely, and we helped free other, like 3 or 4 other people, and we still fighting for people right now. So we have been successful. We have very been successful. We help people with the comprehensive care, everything they need afterwards too. So we just kind of be the bridge over that troubled waters like we needed when we got out. So we've been very successful.
Yeah, and before you ask your question, just let me add also is that there was another gentleman, Reggie Griffin. I helped that case, with Reggie Griffin, and I was in the courtroom for a guy named Ricky Kidd, his case with Sean O'Brien, working with that case. And there's another case that I was indirectly, I think, helpful with Sean O'Brien, and his name is Joe Amrine. I was a tour guide for the youth in prison. Sean O'Brien could not get into the prison because the administration knew who he was, and they knew he was trying to help Joe Amrine. So one of the tours came in, a group about as big as this group here, maybe a little bit less. And Sean O'Brien eased in. Where's she at? Sneaked. He sneaked in. And snuck in with that group because he needed to see the crime scene where they said Joe committed the crime. And that crime scene gave him all that he needed to help prove Joe's innocence. So I've been doing innocence work that even unbeknown to me that I was doing this kind of work. And yes, we've helped people get out, and then we help them when they come home. We were the first organization to do what's called aftercare, exoneree care, led by Susie. No other organization in the United States was doing aftercare when people got out except us. When we started, now other groups are starting to follow this model and to help innocent people not only get out, but help them once they come home.
Right on.
Judith, let's go to my friend James over here, and then we'll finish up with people watching from home.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for opening up our eyes about this problem. And the thing I'm wondering is, since you all had life sentences, did they have you in general population, solitary, or special units?
Women are all together. You can be next to some kid that's got a 120-day shock, and then somebody on death row. We're all together. Guys, different, I think.
Yeah. I was maxed because I had 2 murders, which gave me 2 life sentences. So I was maxed for the first part of it. Did good in prison, ended up in the medium facility. But that's where the murder happened at. So medium and max was about the same. But yeah, it's a classification due to your time and the severity of your crime. So,
I was always in a level 5 institution. I could never be what you call a lower custody level. It was always maximum security, but I served time in solitary confinement as quote unquote called the hole, where you isolated, no human contact, and we cannot live without human contact. We need other human beings in our life. Even in a crazy place like that, you have to be around other human beings. But anything, any kind of environment in prison that you can think of, worst to worst, I've experienced it, and I'm sure, especially in the men's prison, Lamonte has as well. And we used to think about the women because me and some guys in the law library said, man, we know if this is happening to men wrongfully convicted, it's got to be happening to women. And so Miracle of Innocence this year, we said this is going to be the year of the exonerated woman. And we started wanting to highlight people like Patty and Sandy and Faye and others. So this is the year of exonerated. And Patty and Sandy, they both did 40 and 44 years in prison wrongfully. You can say 38, I say 40. It's very little difference. I'm saying twice as much as the time that me and Lamonte did combined.
Steve, I think you have a couple of questions.
I do. I have 3 now, actually. I think most of these will go through pretty quick. What is the relationship between Miracle of Innocence and the Innocent Projects?
Miracle of Innocence and the Innocence Project, these are 2 different organizations. The Innocence Project, as I understand it, started for those who had been sentenced through DNA or had some DNA connection. And they do work also, I think, with non-DNA, but primarily that's what they were. When I come home, the Innocence Project, the one out of New York, I had written to them and asked them for help, and they said they couldn't help me. And this other group, I think locally, they was in existence and they was doing some things, and I worked with them for a little while, and then I decided with Lamont, who best can start an organization except someone who lived through it, who've experienced it. Just like people have different organizations as it relates to cancer or some other, issue. You've experienced it, so you know what your needs are. We know what our needs are.
Perfect. Do you believe that restorative community-led justice would be more effective and equitable solution than our current carceral system? And what do you think that should look like?
Holding people accountable. If you don't hold these people accountable for what they do, they've been doing it for so long. Like if a cop is found dirty, and that's what happened, that's how you get a wrongful conviction, because they gather evidence is not true and they present it to a prosecutor, and then he presented to a jury. So that pipeline has to be held accountable. Should nobody ever go to prison with witnesses lying and police is coercing people and the district attorney is withholding evidence? That kind of thing should never happen. And it only keep happening because no one's being held accountable. They just do it. They see a person get out wrongfully. They don't ever say, apology, I'm sorry that it happened to you, nothing. Most of them don't even think they did nothing wrong. So until we start holding them accountable, I think you're gonna have a problem.
Can I just add, I wrote a whole section on what to do as it relates, some suggestions as it relates to criminal justice reform and things like that. But he's right, hold them accountable. And even, it's hard for me to say some of those folks should go to prison or go to jail. That's just kind of not my mentality, except people like Golubsky. But however, if they lose their pension, if they lost something, the pensions that they get, if those pensions went to the people who they framed and wrongfully convicted, then that would make them wake up. That would make a difference.
And then this is the last question here. So you all founded the program after you were out because there was an absence of help for wrongfully accused people. What accomplishment are you most proud of from the Miracle for Innocence?
For Miracle of Innocence, we exonerated Keith Carnes. Darryl and I, we went to a prison where he was. We actually went inside the prison. We both was in that same situation. I got the same feeling of being free all over again. To watch him go through that with his mother being there, that was something that I never thought I experienced. I never thought I could experience freedom again. And I experienced it vicariously through Keith Carnes. And the other people that we helped get out, just see them walk out of that place and us be able to help them or be there in any kind of way we can, there's no better feeling than that.
Yes, it was a very emotional moment when we was there with Keith Carnes when he was set free. He was free from Licking Correctional Center in Licking, Missouri. It's nothing like it, and I don't know what it's like to be a woman to give birth to a child, but that's what some folks have kind of made that comparison, and not so much as in the literal sense, but when you have an opportunity to be there as part of someone's freedom, it's hard to describe it, And Keith Carnes is someone that, we started to work on his case, and he was set free. Now he's living his life. He's living his best life now, And that's one case. We got a couple more that we're working on right now, but we got a couple other cases. Another guy, Ralph McElroy, we was working on his case, but the law changed and helped him get out, and it helped Faye Jacobs get out. And I talked to a lawyer, an investigator, actually, just the other day, brought up Faye Jacobs' name. She's sitting here, she could be on this panel, but she served 26 years in prison in Arkansas as an innocent young girl, went in at 16. And she know who I'm talking about. His name is Dan Grothaus, who worked on her case, developed a case, and just told me a few days ago, man, that young lady is innocent. I worked that case to prove her innocence, and the law changed. She's free, but she's still innocent, and they need to get their innocence proclaimed just like me and Lamont. It seems like it's harder for women than it is for men, and that's still another injustice to me.
It's harder for women in everything.
Steve, did you have any other questions from?
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much for talking the talk and for getting out there and doing the work. And I wanted to remind everybody that all 4 of our panelists will be back here selling and signing books when we wrap up tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
What you just said about that there are so many people that still need help and you're working on it, what can the average person who has a 40-hour-a-week job and doesn't work with Miracle of Innocence, but what can I do, like, at 7 p.m. at home, when I get home? What can I do to help?
Well, a lot of things now is what you call through cyberspace. And, I mean, when COVID happened, people started working from home, and they continue to work from home. But you can go to miracleofinnocence.org. There's a volunteer tab. If you want to volunteer and, and learn more about how you can get involved, just go to miracleofinnocence.org. In that tab, if you want to meet with any one of us personally, you can also, there's information as to how to get in touch with us. We just right out here at 110th and West 110th Street in Overland Park, so we local. So yeah, and we would hope and ask all of you get involved in some way, if it's no more than say a prayer, and you may not believe in prayer, then hold a positive thought, for someone who's wrongfully convicted. That helps. I believe those thoughts go into the universe, make a difference.
Well, I hope you all will read their books because it's profound and they have so much more that it's just so important to be aware of. So please.
Judy has a book also, and she didn't say that, but I want to let you all know, dancing in the rain or dancing, what is something like that.
Daring to dance.
Daring to dance. And I said dance in the rain, that's a musical or something like that. If you're over 40, you know what I'm talking about. It's a powerful book, and her and Dennis and I said dancing the pain away. That's what I said about her story. Powerful story also.
Well, and I think one of the things we can take away from their story is how you move from darkness to light. We all go through difficult and challenging times in life, but if we hold on to our faith, and as long as we keep hope alive, we can get through those troubling times. And these three are an example of how to do that. So we thank you for being such a wonderful example for all of us.
Well, thank you. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.